Our monthly meetings include reports from our elected officials, and we are appreciative of the information they share here. However, this is not the venue for elected officials to air differences they have with other elected officials or departments. Those differences need to be handled professionally within their own places of business, where they can go into executive session if need be. The Bonner County Republican Central Committee is here to do the business of the Central Committee. Please respect this body by not airing differences here in our meetings. That being said, I will allow Commissioner McDonald to respond to statements made about him at the last Central Committee meeting. Please, I ask Mr. McDonald to keep it short and to the point, and there will be no discussion. If you have questions or comments, please make an appointment with the appropriate official. Mr. McDonald has sent me a longer statement that I will later on email to committee members. Thank you.
So I find it unfortunate that I have to be here and address this. I find it equally unfortunate that this body had to listen to what they listened to last month. There were several statements made. In fact, I'll read the first paragraph from the sheriff, who came in under color of authority and gave both a written and a verbal statement. It starts out, fake news alert. Last week, Dan McDonald went on Facebook and created a false narrative in an attempt to mislead our community by making up a string of lies. For the sake of brevity, I'm not going to repeat those lies, but you can read them. One of the other unfortunate things was he provided no corroborating evidence or information to go along with it, other than the support of our newest commissioner, who concurred with his statements. What I brought is actually proof. Everything I said in the statement on Facebook is true. There were the words of our sheriff in a budget workshop. You're all going to get an email that has this information in it. This is a recording of the actual meeting. You also have a copy of this, a copy of my statements on Facebook, and additionally you'll have a transcript of the entire thing, and you'll see without a doubt that everything I said was actually factual. What this further on his written statements, a couple other things I wanted to clear up. He talks about taking the federal and state prisoners, and when you read the actual written testimony from, or written statements from the transcript, you're going to see that he throws out some numbers of costing $45 a day for state prisoners when we take them. For the first 2 days after that, it goes up to $75. Federal prisoners are $70 or $75, I don't recall, but it's in there. Then he puts out a cost of about $112 a day. Now, why all this is important is because we're looking at possibly having to do something with our jail. We did a study earlier this year to see if we could increase the size of the jail by doing an addition. The findings came back at $11 million, which to me is unacceptable. But now the sheriff is interested in actually building a new jail, the cost of between, in his words, 40 and 45 million, and you'll find that in this statement. The money that comes in actually is a loser. It's a flat-out loser. We see it. We realize that the commissioners have talked about it continually. We're not for it. But there's some other statements in here that are a little disturbing. While the original jail cost $3.8 million, which is true, but that was 21 years ago, we're talking about a 21-year-old building. I'm from the construction industry. Usually we look at building life between 50 and 100 years. As far as besmirching the good folks that put this jail together originally, I thought that was a bit odd. They did their job dutifully and used a design that had been used in other counties. But there's some other statements here that are a little troubling. With respect to cost, we covered that. There's another one here where the sheriff alluded that he was asked by the board chairman to conduct a study to help determine the cost of a new jail that included a 911 dispatch center. When talking to the board chairman, he said he never ordered that. And in fact, when you read the transcript, you'll see it was the sheriff who said he was going to do this. Lastly, he said for a few years he's asked the Board of Commissioners to set aside revenue from jail contracts and place them in separate accounts to pay for these studies. We searched through the record and found nothing of the sort. None of the commissioners recall it. I even called former Commissioner Glenn Bailey to see if he recalled that, and he said absolutely not. The irony here is that that money has to go to run this budget. The $600,000 to $900,000 a year we get from this goes to fill out his budget and pay his expenses. You will get an email. I'm going to cut it short because I know that the chairman asked me to. You're going to get an email that outlines all this. If you have any questions, please feel free to call me.